Yashodanandana Rajazana Yamuna
రెడ్డి గారు మీ మొబైల్ చాలా స్లో అయింది. దేంతో క్లిక్ చేసుకుంటున్నావు? ఘోరాది ఘోరంగా ఉంది.
అది స్లో అనిపించింది నాకు. క్లీనింగ్ ఉన్నారు అంతా తీసేసాం.
Sto Sri Simadhi Divine Grace Sarabhai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ananta Vaishnava Sskbk Sep founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Namasarya Srila Haridas Thakur Samabharata Bhakti Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Bhagavatam Jaini Thakur all glorious to be assembled devotees, all glorious to be assembled devotees, all glorious to be assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamahyam Dadati Swatadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Lalita Sri Vishakam Shyam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Manusute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suti Devi Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Taribhyasya Kripa Sindhu Jaivasya Patitanam Pavanekyo Vaishnaveyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Ram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatyam Vyasam Tato Jaram Viraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances and Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Praya Sabadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed by faith and ill, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishri Asaya Lokasya Anyam Swasaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantha Raja, king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Surabhyay Namaha. Om Surabhyay Namaha. Om Surabhyay Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangam nagayate yakripat mahamande srigunam pinatari yakripat mahamande srigunam pinatari. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavad class. Reading from canto number 4, chapter 18. Prithu Maharaj milks the earth planet. Today is the Yaksha Rakshamsi Bhutani Pishachaha Pishitashanaha Bhuteshu Vatsa Duduhu Kapali Kshatrajasavam Yaksha Rakshamsi Bhutani Pishacha Pishitashanaha Bhutesha Vatsa Duduhu Kapale Kshatrajasavam Yaksha Rakshamsi Bhutani Pishacha Pishatasanaha Bhutesha Vatsa Duduhu Kapale Kshatrajasavam Yaksha Rakshamsi Bhutani Pishacha Pishitasanaha Bhutesha Vatsa Duduhu Kapale Kshatrajasavam Yaksha Rakshamsi Bhutani Pishacha Pishatasanaha Bhutesha Vatsa Duduhu Kapale Kshatrajasavam Yaksha Rakshamsi Bhutani Pishacha Pishatasanaha Bhutesha Vatsa Duduhu Kapale Kshatrajasavam Yaksha. The Yakshas, the descendants of Kubera. Rakshamsi, the Rakshasas, meat eaters. Bhutani, ghosts. Pishachaha, witches. Pishita, Ashanaha, those who are habituated to eating flesh. Bhutesha, Lord Shiva's incarnation, Rudra. Vatsaha, whose calf who milked out Kapali in a pot of skulls. Chataja, blood. Savam, a fermented beverage. Yeah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Then the yakshas, rakshasas, ghosts and witches who are habituated to eating flesh transform Lord Shiva's incarnation Rudra, Bhutanath, into a calf and milked out beverages made of blood and put them in a pot made of skulls. Interesting. Kindly repeat after me. Then the yakshas, rakshasas, ghosts and spirits who are habituated to eating flesh transform Lord Shiva's incarnation Rudra, Bhutanath, into a calf and milked out beverages made of blood and put them in a pot made of skulls. Purport. There are some types of living entities in the form of human beings whose living conditions and eatables are most abominable. Generally, they eat flesh and fermented blood, which is mentioned in this verse as Kshatrajasavam. The leaders of such degraded men, known as yakshas, rakshasas, bhutas, and pishachas, are all in the mode of ignorance. They have been placed under the control of Rudra. Rudra is the incarnation of Lord Shiva and is in charge of the mode of ignorance in material nature. Another name for of Lord Shiva is Bhutanath, meaning master of ghosts. Rudra was born from between Brahma's eyes when Brahma was very angry. The four Kumaras. Translation again. Then the yakshas, rakshasas, ghosts and witches who are habituated to eating flesh transform Lord Shiva's incarnation, Rudra, known as Bhutanath, into a calf and milked out beverages made of blood and put them in a pot made of skulls. So as we were discussing the last few days, there are many types of living entities, and they live in different places in the universe. and they all have different natures based on the gunas, on the modes of material nature. So we've been reading how different personalities somehow are involved in this particular lila, and this morning we are reading about those living entities who are in the lower modes of nature or governed by the mode of ignorance. In Kali Yuga, most people are governed by the mode of ignorance, actually. Kalo Shudra Sambhava, everyone is born Shudra, and the specific characteristic of Shudra is that he cannot understand things so nicely, so properly. And therefore, if he doesn't have a good master, someone who is able to properly guide him, he will be misguided. Just like children. Children are dependent on good parents. If they have good parents, they will receive a good upbringing. And if they have irresponsible parents, then they will not be brought up properly. So here we get a glimpse of the type of abominable activities that the people who are influenced by the mode of ignorance are engaged in. Beverages, made of blood and such types of very, we say, unacceptable ingredients for those in the mode of goodness or beyond. So there is mention of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, as we know, Lord Shiva is not in the mode of ignorance, but he looks after people, especially in the mode of ignorance. He's very compassionate. He is known in our Vaishnava literatures as the best of the Vaishnavas, because that is meant to be the foremost quality of a Vaishnava. Titikshava karunika Puritam sarvadehinam. Vaishnavas are meant to be full of compassion, trying to elevate, actually, those in lower modes of nature, at least to the mode of goodness. Because in the lower modes of nature, one's suffering is very acute, because one generally performs all kinds of activities which bring about all kinds of suffering. And the more one becomes elevated in the modes of nature, then one does not go against the established laws of nature, therefore lives more in harmony with both the material nature as well as the spiritual nature. That is why those who are situated in higher levels of consciousness, they are undisturbed by, even though they are here in the material world, they are undisturbed by the dualities that are there in the material world. They are undisturbed by the threefold miseries as well. So therefore, the importance to rise above these modes of nature. That's also explained, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Evam prasanamanaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. One can only become or attain the level of mukti or liberation, freed from the modes of material nature, freed from the various types of suffering in the material world by rising to the higher level, at least to become situated in the mode of goodness. That is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na sochati na kanchati. So, the very attractive feature of Krishna consciousness is that if one is, of course, fortunate to come in contact with this process, and if one is serious about applying the recommended practices, then gradually one, by cultivating this knowledge, will will come to the point of transcending these modes of material nature and will not be involved in these kind of activities that are being described here. That's what our acharyas who have received this knowledge are their main business, their main activity is to induce as many people as possible to take up these processes that are recommended in the Shastra. We'll just continue reading here to see about other developments in this chapter here. Yeah. So text 22. Tata hayo danda shuka sarpa nagascha takshakam vidhaya vatsam yuduhur bilapatre visham payaha. Translation. Therefore, cobras and snakes without hoods, large snakes, scorpions, and many other poisonous animals took poison out of the planet Earth as their milk and kept this poison in snake holes. They made a calf out of takshaka. Okay. So, there's a purport here by Srila Prabhupada. Within this material world, there are various types of living entities. And the different types of reptiles and scorpions mentioned in this verse are also provided with their sustenance by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The point is that everyone is taking his eatables from the Earth planet. According to one's association with the material qualities, one develops a certain type of character. Payapanam Bhujanganam. If one feeds a serpent milk, the snake will simply increase his venom. However, if one supplies milk to a talented sage or saint, the sage will develop finer brain tissues by which he can contemplate higher spiritual life. Thus the Lord is supplying everyone food, but according to the living entity's association with the modes of material nature, the living entity develops his specific character. So the point being made here is that Mother Earth, she provides for everyone. Just like the hog has its own eatables, which is unthinkable for a human being. Isn't it? So, in other words, Krishna provides for all living entities and fulfills all of their desires, regardless of which mode of material nature they find themselves. That means that all of us, regardless of which species we belong to, all of us, regardless of what mentality we develop, which mode of material nature we find ourselves in, we are dependent on Krishna, on Krishna's energy, which is present in terms of the Mother Nature. And more descriptions here. Text 23 and 24. Pashavu yavasam kshiram vatsam kritva chago grisham aranya patre cha dukshan mrigendrena chadam srinaha. Kravyada prani na kravyam tuduhu sve kalebare suparna vatsa vihagas charam charam evacha. Translation: the four-legged animals, like the cows, made a calf out of the bull who carries Lord Shiva, Nandi, and made a milking pot out of the forest. Thus they got fresh green grasses to eat. Ferocious animals like tigers transformed the lion into a calf, and thus they were able to get flesh from milk. The birds made a calf out of Garuda and took milk from the planet Earth in the form of moving insects and moving plants and grasses. Purport. There are many carnivorous birds descended from Garuda, the winged carrier of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, there is a particular type of bird that is very fond of eating monkeys. We haven't seen this bird. Eagles are fond of eating goats, and of course many birds eat only fruits and berries.
అయిపోయినప్పుడు చెప్పన్నా.
Therefore the words charam, referring to moving animals, and acharam, referring to grasses,